Welcome to Game B3 Express News, where I'll be giving you the latest major technology news from significant technology websites as quickly as I can to help save you time. So first up here on Engadget, we have the first hands-on with Microsoft Surface Pro 3 that's just been announced. This is very exciting stuff. If you wish, you can go on to Engadget and view that video, or if you want to hang around here a little while longer, I'll talk you through these pictures. So first up, from the side profile here, you can tell it looks very similar to the previous Surface 2 and one before it. It does have volume rocker up along the side here, which is slightly different in appearance, and it has your headphone microphone in-out port here. You can still notice that it has that slight edge, although it's not as pronounced as it was in the previous one, where airflow can be passed through the tablet / Ultrabook device. And if we take a look at the other side here, we have an SD card slot still, we have a USB 3 port, and we have a mini display out port. At the top you have your power button like you did on the previous version, and here we have the stand in action, just like with the Surface One in terms of its angle. Now, on this note, can I just add that it's pretty light, weighing in at 1.76 pounds, which if you live in Australia like I do, that converts to 0.79 kilos, which I can compute a little bit better. It's also very thin at 0.036 inches, which again, for those of you outside of America, you might be better off understanding it as 0.91 centimeters, so just less than a centimeter. So as an Ultrabook, if you was to look at it in that form factor, it's actually one of, if not the lightest Ultrabook you can buy, and possibly one of the thinnest too. But of course, if you look in terms of a tablet, then obviously it wouldn't be the thinnest tablet out there, not like compared to the iPad or iPad Air or iPad Mini. Now the display is very interesting. It's 12 inches, which is much more usable as a work device as opposed to the 10 inches of the previous model, and it has a super high resolution display at 2160 by 1140, which is obviously a lot higher than the full HD display of the previous model. Now what else is a significant change is the kickstand. Now in the previous model with the Surface 2, you could have the kickstand in this mode and obviously slightly further back, but with the Surface 3, if you want to call it that, it can go all the way back, which is very convenient if you have it on your lap or you just want to show someone something. There's many different ways you'd want to use that configuration, I would imagine. Anyway, the more is better. But we're not quite finished there with the changes. Next up is the keyboard itself. Now this is what I really want to show you and explain to you, because it is hard to explain. If you look at the keyboard there, can you see, hopefully you're following my cursor, can you see it's magnetically connected there, just like on the previous Surface, but you can now have another hinge, which is about what I would imagine to be a centimeter high, that goes up to here. That means the keyboard can be rested at an angle, as you can clearly tell here. So that's a really nice feature. You can tell that there it is in its flat view like you would normally see on the Surface Pro 1 and 2. But what else has changed is this trackpad. The trackpad, as you can tell here, is now longer. Not only is it longer, but apparently it's more sensitive and responsive. The keyboard seems pretty much the same and still has its backlighting, but it may be that the keys are slightly larger since it now has a 12-inch form factor, which may be easier to type on. That's not the only change though. There's also the pen. It now no longer uses the Wacom technology. Instead, it has N-Trig. Now, what does this mean? Well, apparently it's a bit more responsive, but it has a slight rough texture. Don't ask me how. Maybe the tip is slightly rubber. I don't quite know, which gives it that paper feel as opposed to writing on glass. Also, on the top of the pen is a purple button that once pressed, it will wake the laptop or the tablet from sleep and go straight into OneNote, so you can go right into those notes without having to unlock the tablet / Ultrabook. And here we get a glance of the tiny internals of the device. It will come in the base model of 64 gigabytes all the way up to 512. And finally, in terms of battery life, Microsoft's putting this device around 9 hours. We'll have to see what happens there. Over on TechSpy, Facebook introduces a new way to flirt with an ask button. So basically, if you normally put whether or not you're in a relationship on Facebook, now that will be slightly more hidden, and you'd have to ask the person in the future rather than being able to see straight away. What does this mean? Well, it may mean you're going to be getting a lot more adultery. Also in TechSpy, we have the fact that Atari may be building hardware again, where the new CEO Frederick Chesnays has said that they are looking to be building a new console within the next few years. And finally, over on VR Zone, we have a full 360-degree leak of the HTC One M8 Prime render, which you can see here, just rotating around. Tell me what you think. Does it look good? I think it looks pretty good. I'm not quite sure though about the orange around the lens. So that concludes today's tech news. Remember to like, dislike and add comments below.